Hello, hello, good evening, and welcome to another live stream. So, first of all, a warm welcome to everybody. Hopefully, as you join and you leave your comments, I'll see you as you come in through the door. Hi, Chris. Great to see you, Stevie. All the usual gang. Thanks for being with me. We've got an action-packed 30 minutes ahead, so I want to get through the stuff as quickly as I can. But what I do need you folks to do is to share this as widely as possible on whichever platforms, be it Periscope, which I know most of you are on, be it Facebook, be it YouTube. It doesn't matter. Share it so as many people as possible are aware of the fact that we're actually live. So, and hi, Mark. Thank you very much for the kind words. I do appreciate your support, by the way, folks. You know, this stuff doesn't really work at all without you. So it's really important that you can be here and we can engage in the political conversations that you don't really hear, certainly on the mainstream media. So we got, as I said, we got lots of stuff we want to chat about tonight. We're going to talk about politicians versus the scientists, the inevitable blame game. We're going to chat about Boris, and I see he's meeting Bill Gates. What could possibly go wrong with that? And then last but by no means least, hang on just 1 second, folks. I'm just going to do one thing. And then last but by no means least, we're going to chat about the Brexit, because we haven't talked that much about it. And oh, thanks, Jan. I'm glad you. I like the new background. We're going to talk about Brexit because we're in the final. Hang on a second. Hang on. Right, sorry about that, folks. That was Bill Gates just on the phone. He wants to personally reassure me that everything will be fine. Anyway, never mind people phoning at the most conceivably awkward times imaginable. So these are the conversations. So hi, Helen Joan, nice to see you. Great to see you here on the scope. What I need you folks to do for me in the next 25 minutes. Hang on. Look, I've told you, Bill Gates, stop phoning me. Please stop phoning. Now then, silence will unfold. Gotta love people who have no sense of what time to phone me. Gotta love it. Right, so yeah, Chris, I only wish it was Mr. Costello. That would be, if it was Elvis Costello, you folks would not see me for the rest of the night. Anyway, never mind that there. We're back, we're strong, all's good. I don't know how many of you folks got to see my chat with Anne-Marie Waters from the For Britain party, but that was on Friday night. We had a few technical problems. As always, with when you do something new like this, there's always little techie things that go wrong. But we'll get there. We will get there in the end. I've done further tests over the last few days, including last night. So I'm pretty confident we're going to get to the point where we can have, hi, ring, Connor. Yeah, I was waiting by the phone. I was waiting all alone, as I remember the brilliant ABBA song from 1973. Anyway, folks, that's I'm just reading your comments here. As always, your comments are fine, or the best bit of this. So want to just let you know that we have got so it seems to be streaming nicely to Facebook, to YouTube, to Periscope. Lots of people on the scope here. That's okay. That's fine on the stream. Good evening, James. Very good afternoon from Washington DC. Let's say hello to James. Someone says I'm a little bit fuzzy. I'm always a little bit fuzzy, Jed. But one of the issues I've learned from this last few nights is that my upload stream speed needs to increase. Well, it will do. Trust me, it will do. But if you can see me, then that's fine. And hopefully there'll be enough for you to entertain you for the next 25, 30 minutes. Just a quick thing, by the way, if you do enjoy this, and as you can see, we've been investing behind the scenes and getting the tech and all the bits and bobs. Perhaps if you do like this, please do me a favor, go to www.altnewsmedia.com contdown.net/donate. Drop a pound or whatever you want in the hat to keep the stuff going. So anyway, that's enough of the preamble. Let's cut to the meat, shall we? And the meat of the matter, of course, is that, as you may have noticed, and this was always going to happen, the politicians have been very happy to say, we're following the science, we're following the science. And then when the proverbial hits the fan, they turn on the scientists. And the scientists, of course, are very happy to use the cover of the politicians. And then when the proverbial hits the fan, they turn on the politicians. So today, folks, hi, Tony, by the way, you're very welcome. Today, what we've seen is some remarkable stuff coming out in terms of the unemployment figures. I'm sure you've seen the unemployment figures. I mean, UK numbers have gone that way, sort of right through the roof. I believe in the southwest of England, unemployment numbers of people claiming benefit have gone up by 97%. Here in Northern Ireland, the unemployment register has increased by 90%. So by any definition, it's a bit of a disaster. And of course, it's been entirely self-inflicted. So here's the deal. When you sort of shoot yourself in the foot and you're a politician, what you do is you look for convenient excuses. So I'm just putting up one here that you can see on the screen. This morning, Therese Coffey, government minister, says, well, you can only make judgments and decisions based on the information and advice that you have at the time. She says that ministers may have been wrong to follow the advice at the start of COVID-19, and that may have led to mistakes. Mistakes. Is that a euphemism for deaths? Is that a euphemism for creating killing fields in the care homes? I mean, the fact of the matter is here, and this is how it all. Tracy, you're absolutely right. We are indeed under house arrest. The reality is that the politicians were very, very happy to use the line that said, well, it doesn't matter, we're taking away your liberty. That, look, we have to do it because we're following the science. And when the science became the particular science of Neil Ferguson and his clown card models at Imperial College, that meant you were stuck at home. You more than likely were not working, and your life changed in ways that we don't even probably fully understand. So the politicians said that they had to follow the science, when in fact any intelligent person knows that there is no such thing, folks, as the science. The science is a multi-layered environment where different scientists hold different views. There's no such thing as the science, but they said that because it gave them political cover, so they could get away with, right, don't go out in your car, don't go to your job, go to the shops once a week or whatever it is. It gave them folks the hi Roz, by the way. Roz wants to know, why am I in a tunnel? I don't know, Roz. Sometimes I wonder why I do this. Trying to get the right backdrop, Roz, is what it's called. I'm going to have to rebuild this entire studio now after that. Yes, Tracy, we all knew what Boris was doing, or Ferguson was doing when he was advising Boris. We were only too aware of that. And it wasn't anything to do with modeling, or at least not conventional computer modeling. So anyway, here's the thing. So the politicians used the scientists, but now that it's gone belly up and the unemployment figures are horrendous and the economy's going down the tubes, somebody's asking the really good question, where is Boris? Yeah, I'll tell you where Boris is. Boris is getting ready to meet Bill Gates. Let's talk about that in a minute. But, so the reality is that there's a scramble going on. They're scrambling over each other. And here's one of the reasons. Look at that. This is the claimant, people claiming unemployment benefit across the UK in April. So the total UK figure is up by around about 70%. You can see it there bouncing up. So it's actually worse now than at any point on, well, certainly since the, well, from a long time back, actually. So you can actually see there's a massive surge in people claiming benefit. And let's be honest, that's not no big surprise when you basically turn off huge chunks of the economy, which is what Boris and Rishi Sunak and the rest of them have done. They turned off the economy. Now you've got the unemployment. Now you've got dysfunctionalism with some people saying they're not going to go back to work. Why? Because it's just too dangerous. Yeah. But I mean, teachers being a good example of that, actually. Sorry, I'm just going to flip you back. On to, yes, Chris, you're absolutely right. The figures we're seeing, there will be worse to come. These figures are all dragging about a month behind reality. So just wait till we get to the end of this month into early June, and you see the real scale of the horror. So that's why the politicians are now saying, well, we were only following the orders of the scientists. And the scientists are saying, well, we only gave them advice. They make the decisions, which is true, actually. But the advice that they gave from certainly Imperial College was absolutely disastrous. So that's your reality of what has of what's going on at the moment. But Dave, I mean, here's a good comment. Let me just show that. No job, but clap the NHS. Absolutely. Keep clapping. Doesn't matter that you haven't got a job. Doesn't matter that your own family is maybe in peril because of economic circumstances. Just Tony said, how are we going to penalize China for the unaccountable damage it's caused to the world? Absolutely, Tony. We mustn't, it's very easy to have, and it is easy to have a go at the absolute useless, the folly of this government and some of these scientists it surrounded itself with. But we must always remember that this coronavirus, SARS-CoV-19, came from China, and responsibility lies with China, and punishment should be given to China. But that is something that actually this government doesn't really want to do. President Trump wants to do it, but this government doesn't want to do it, So instead, let's talk about, let's move the conversation on a little bit. So Roz says, just a couple of comments here. What's this? Just reading your comments here. Oxford University is in with the killing fields. Oh, absolutely right, Ross. I mean, I actually feel there should be a criminal investigation into any of these people who have been going along with modeling which is so egregiously wrong, couldn't be further wrong. And then the way that the politicians are scrambling around, it kind of really bothers me. And I think we do have to shout it out. The mainstream media won't talk about these things. They're trying to talk about other things, oh, what about the killing fields in the care homes? Well, one of the reasons why there's killing fields in the care homes is, well, there's two reasons. One, the NHS managed to discharge plenty of vulnerable elderly patients into the care homes. And that's where they got COVID-19. So if you want to find who's responsible to the degree for some of the deaths, keep clapping the NHS. So there, point one. Point two on this one. Hi, Harry. Nice to see you, by the way. I'm glad, Tracy, you've woken up since the late. Being woke in the right way is a good thing. But the second thing about it is, of course, there's serious questions regarding the deaths that are being recorded as being excess deaths in the care homes, but attributed to COVID-19, when it appears that the majority of them are actually not due to COVID-19, but due to other medical issues, not least the fact that many of these elderly people have been denied essentially medical care for a significant number of weeks, up to months, leading to deaths. So, these are the kind of hard realities that we need to be facing into, and that's what we try to do here for you. So, people have said, "But where's Boris?" And you're right. I mean, where is Boris? Indeed. So let's think, where might Boris have gone to? Where do you think he could be? Let's see, is he here? Oh, look, Boris. Boris is going to discuss coronavirus vaccine efforts with Bill and Melinda Gates. Doesn't that make your heart beat with happiness? I mean, what could possibly go wrong with Boris and Bill and Melinda Gates getting together to have a bit of a chin wag about vaccines? Well, we hear a lot about Bill Gates, and so I wanted to share this little thing with you, a little bit of a primer on Bill Gates. Let's just look. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Bill Gates. Let me just get this one here for you. I do have it somewhere. Oh dear. Well, I can't actually find it at the moment. But anyway, so Bill Gates seems to be linked to so many organizations, linked to the World Health Organization, linked to Imperial College, linked to funding for all kinds of globalist organizations, and they all want to give you a vaccine for coronavirus, aka SARS-CoV-19. So the question is, do we, so who trusts Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to provide us with a virus with a vaccine that we're all going to feel good with? Hands up. No. There's no way, it's just not happening, that I would take, and I'm not interested in any vaccine, because the reality is, as I've sort of banged on here about it before, but it is worth mentioning. The first coronavirus was SARS back in 2003. That was a global epidemic. It didn't kill as many the sort of people that Neil Ferguson or Professor Ferguson said at the time, but it was a global epidemic. They worked furiously on getting a vaccine. It's now 2020. There's been no safe vaccine found. There's no vaccine found on. Ellie Mack says she's watching the Amazing Polly. Watch Amazing Polly on YouTube to see the network of Gates. Yeah, I know Amazing Polly, by the way. She and I have spoken in the past. She's a really good person to follow. So you should follow Amazing Polly on YouTube. She's on Twitter as well, by the way. She'll bring you lots of good updates. But the reality is that just reading your comments. I'm glad, Tony, that your daughter Michelle is happy to see you live. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for being here and watching with your dad, Tony. So it's very disturbing to see the British Prime Minister sort of lining up with the likes of Bill and Melinda Gates. Now, the reason for this, of course, is that there is a major global vaccine event happening in the UK early June. Yeah, that'll be good, won't it? I mean, it's going to be so nice to see all these people, all these generous globalists just wanting to give us a vaccine that, only a fool would trust, only a fool would take. But here's the kicker. They might force us to take it, because they might say, unless you take the vaccine, you can't travel, you can't go back to your job. So please watch out what they come to do when it comes to this vaccine. I don't want to take a vaccine, just like I'm not going to wear a mask, but I might be forced to do both those things if I want to do certain things. So, it's something to watch out for. I think the whole vaccine issue is very murky. And as I say, 17 years, they've not been able to do it for coronavirus. Now for SARS-CoV-19, which is a coronavirus, or which is the illness caused by the coronavirus, they're going to do it in a couple of months. They're going to knock it out, and it's not going to be a problem. There's nothing to worry about. Take the injection. You'll be fine, hopefully. And if not, well, at the end of the day, look, it's as simple as that. It's a risk factor. Now, just reading some of the comments, by the way. Some really interesting comments coming in. Yeah, I mean, I just see what you're saying, folks. Yeah, Melinda Gates wearing, John, an upside down cross. What's that about? I'd like to know what that's about as well. And Chris is right. You may need to have a vaccine passport, which means that on that basis, I'll probably stop traveling. I really don't want to take Guys, here's a good comment here. We need our MP to get back to work on their full salary. I want to see who's been to the hairdresser. Well, you probably can't tell from me, but I haven't been to the hairdresser. But I personally, I don't see politicians. I'm quite happy. I'm not particularly sure that they necessarily do much, but just blow hot air around the periphery. But they have taken away our liberty. They've taken away employment from millions of people. They've restricted our lives. They've caused so much depression, and I fear they have brought about circumstances that have led people to die unnecessarily. So someone says, Ian says, ha ha, Baldy, good for taking one for the team. I'm happy to do that. Ian, no problem. We need them to earn their money. Well, I think that the political class, I would like to see their salaries actually reduced. I don't think they're worth the money they've got. Chris asked me, is there any news in Dublin reopening? Slowly, Chris, very slowly, baby steps. I think it's going to be some time still before Dublin becomes any other major city, certainly in the UK and Ireland, becomes normal again. Pubs won't be normal again. Restaurants won't be normal again. So, there's some very disturbing dystopian views of what the new normal would be. And can I just say, I object to the term the new normal. The new normal is just a euphemism for abnormal. How dare they take away stuff and then once they've done that, turn around and say, well, this is just the new normal. You've got to go in a queue of about 100 people to get into a supermarket. You've just got to accept the fact that you can't go swimming, you can't do this, you can't do that. No, I don't accept any of that. And that's why the best thing can happen to get us back is easy lockdown as quickly as possible. Reduce social distancing from 2 meters to 1 meter with the intention of going even further than that and getting it back to normal. I mean, I'm supposed to feel grateful because here in Northern Ireland, the news is broken that on Thursday, our all-powerful government locally is going to consider maybe allowing 5 people from the one family, but who live apart, to come together. Well, whoop-dee. And have I good news for you, government? Do you really think that families need your approval to come together? Do you think that? I mean, for example, earlier on today, I was actually out for a walk around the park. It was full of kids, of families, people walking. Social distancing was minimal. I think people in many instances have Ian says people and I believe have essentially ignored the blooming knockdown. We don't need politicians to tell us how to live our lives. It's one of my themes anyway, as you probably know. So anyway, summary position, this farce on lockdown carries on. I do suggest if you jump onto my Twitter stream, you'll see I've put up a podcast I've done with a lady called Alison, who runs a really nice Facebook channel called UK Lockdown Skeptics. She's a lovely lady. She's got really firm, solid views on the importance of erasing the lockdown as quickly as possible whilst protecting the vulnerable. You should give it a listen. We had a chat last night. I've put it out as a podcast. Give it a listen if you get a chance. Okay, let's move on then. Sort of the final 7 minutes or so. Let's talk about something that we've almost forgot about: Brexit. Well, yes, we have of course left the European Union. Someone's telling me my screen's all blurred. So is my screen all blurred, folks, or is this coming through okay? Hi, Sylvia, by the way, nice to see you. So I just want to check, is this working okay, or is there any issues on the screen? Just a quick, if it's okay, let me know. I flowed you over rose white. So, okay, I'm not sure what that means. But anyway, if you... If as long as the screen is actually working okay for you, that's fine. Here's what I wanted to show you. So Brexit. So let's tackle this one because this is important as well. So you know that technically we have left the European Union, but we're still going through the motions of trying to get a trade deal with them. The deadline for that is basically the end of June. The European Union are playing their usual trick of essentially saying, Chris says the stream's fuzzy. Is that, Chris, can I ask you, which are you watching it on YouTube, Periscope, or Facebook? If you can let me know that, Chris, just so I can understand. Slightly blurred. Yeah. If I do this, is it slightly blurred? Okay. Just have to cope with slightly blurred version of me whilst I get my upload speeds improved, which is imminent. That will happen technically. Oh, hi, Miss Brexit. And I'm sorry, I'm a bit blurry. Or maybe you've all been drinking. Have you considered this? It's not. I'm actually perfectly. Yeah, it's blur on Periscope. I see that. I see your comments in that one. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to say, I wanted to share a little bit on the Brexit scenario. I was very pleased to see this. I'm going to share this with you now on the screen. Just have a look at this and read this. And this is from obviously the UK government's negotiator with the with the EU or European Commission, and you'll see that this is quite robust language going back to the EU. It's basically saying to them that, look, enough of the flannel. If you're not serious, then let's just come to an end and conclude this. For example, point one: if we both want zero tariffs, but if that's going to be the case, then you guys have to be serious about how we can achieve zero tariffs. The UK is not really, or the EU is not serious about that. The EU is claiming that, well, because we are sort of integrated with the EU at the moment, any future trade arrangement has to keep that integration. No, it doesn't. You see that in point two. And then the other spurious argument which the EU is pushing is because, well, we're quite close to the EU, apart from the distance, thank goodness, of the channel, then that also means that we have to have these very tight arrangements with the European Union. So this is really quite good stuff, because this is, from my perspective, the UK government's negotiator showing some real steel in the spine. This is putting it up the David Frost, yeah. So I think that the I'm not sure that the European Union actually want a deal. The European Union want to bully the UK into being subservient, accepting the most ludicrous trade deal ever, which would keep us subject to them, and we just don't want that. So I think, sorry, I'm just reading some of your comments there. Oh, thanks, by the way, Carol, and for those who also joining from YouTube. I do appreciate my viewers coming from other channels than just Periscope, although I love my Periscope and I love my Facebook friends as well. So all of you folks, thank you for being here with me. But the punchline is this, going back to the point, we voted to leave the EU. We don't want to be trapped in it with a trade deal that essentially keeps us linked and locked to the European Union. And so fundamentally, we're going to see this come to a climax in the next, next 3 weeks, 3-4 weeks, and that it has to be concluded essentially by the end of June. I don't think the European Union are good faith actors. I believe that they simply seek to damage the UK and trap us. And I hope that this government will show a bit of backbone and actually, if necessary, walk away. Today, we've heard Angela Merkel and Macron talking about they're going to conjure up a 500 billion package to save the other EU countries. So, this is, Chris, they're stalling on all kinds of stuff in the European Union. But the punchline is that the EU itself is after the coronavirus, is in the worst financial shape ever. So if post-coronavirus, the EU thinks it can basically shaft its biggest export market, the UK, well, let them try. And we'll see how we'll get on. I do fundamentally believe Yeah, I mean, you're right. The little die. The European Union has behaved deplorably towards countries like Italy and Spain. Countries have suffered really, really badly. What did the European Union do whenever all this happened? Germany put up its borders, France put up its orders. Essentially, they put two fingers up to all the other EU nations who at that time had egregious numbers of deaths and infection. So, ultimately in this scenario, hi Brenda. I'm glad you enjoy my little chats here. Ultimately, the European Union has proven it's worthless. We were right to leave. Let's get away from it. And if we can't get a trade deal that protects British fishing waters, that makes sure we can make our own trading standards and do all the things we want, then it's not worth having. And it's that simple. So look, that's it for me tonight. Trying to keep it exactly to 30 minutes, which I think I've pretty much done. So thank you for being here. Thank you, as always, of course, for your comments. Thanks for joining me from all the different platforms. I intend this will become better and better and better. So if you keep coming back, you'll find that the tech behind all the scenes here will improve. And as I said, just to finish with, if you have enjoyed this, make a small donation, altnewsmedia.net/donate. Go and do it if you can. And I'll see you here, hopefully, same time tomorrow night. Night for now.